That's right, Lisa. I think there's nothing more romantic that you can do this Valentine's Day. Imagine buying a house together. Nothing quite says commitment like that does. And here to decipher or to demystify the mysteries of romantic house purchasing is our resident love doctor, JP Farinha. Welcome, welcome. No, he's not our love doctor. He's our
As you can see, I'm some doctor of sorts. But Katlego, I think most people these days, single people would love to, their dream is to meet someone. Once you meet someone, you want to get married. When you get married, what do? You have kids. And the next thing that follows is you want a home. And, a home is just not, it's not just the house.
Yeah.
It's all about the heart. It's about creating a home. And when we think about it, it's very emotional. Mm-hmm. So the other side of that is really the head. Because, we have to have a good balance between the head and the heart to have a strong relationship.
Very true.
And on the head side, it's all about investment. Mm-hmm. So buying a home, normally it's one of the biggest investments that people make in their lives. Mm-hmm. And you have to think very carefully about what that investment means to both of you.
Yeah, but like you said, keeping a good balance between the head and the heart, you have to think about, what you are doing. So what are some of the things that couples should consider when they are moving into, this kind of territory, buying a house together?
Well, the first thing to consider is, are you married or aren't you? A lot of people these days are not getting married and they're buying houses together. Mm-hmm. So if you're married, then you have a marriage contract that governs the law, and you're protected via that contract in terms of any property that you purchase. But if you're both single and you get married, you've got to remember that South Africa doesn't recognize common law partnerships. So you're not covered by a legal framework. And in that sense, what you really need to do is you need to create some kind of a formal agreement that governs the way that you're going to buy the house, the rules, all the different scenarios that can go wrong you need to think about.
So this will come in the form of an external contract that you kind of draw up between
Absolutely, yes.
yourself that says that.
Yeah, you draw up an agreement between the two of you that specifies all the different conditions.
Yeah. But as we know, love doesn't always last forever, even though we would like to live in Shakespearean times where, romance is forever. So what does one do when you find yourself in a situation where, it's ended either the marriage or the relationship, but now you've bought this common property?
Yeah. Well, that's the reason for drawing up the agreement. Mm-hmm. So what happens? Normally you have to make decisions like who moves out, because when you break up with someone, you don't want to keep living with them in the same house that you both own.
That's true.
So, who's going to stay in the house? Who has paid off the most amount of the bond or the costs, etc.? Is there profit in the house? Do we sell it? Because now I'm leaving and I'm moving out of the house and I want my profit.
No, don't leave. Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah.
But, or is there loss?
Yeah.
And if there's a loss, then do you sell it or do you hold on to it and wait for that for that loss to dissipate? So all these kinds of things. If one person stays in the house, do they pay occupational rent? What happens? Does the other person continue to pay the mortgage on the house? What about levies and maintenance, etc.? So it's very important to figure all those things out and make sure that you cover that you have an answer to each of those things.
So what's the most romantic way to walk your partner into a new home?
So I haven't had experience with that, unfortunately, because my wife and I were married when we already were living in a house when we got married. But a good friend of mine just bought a lovely little house by the coast, and what he did is they moved in just with a couple of bottles of champagne and a blanket and a picnic, and the house was completely empty. Oh, wow. And yes, so they stayed there for a week, and what happened is every day in the week a truck arrived with a new piece of furniture or and they built up the house around them.
That's really fantastic.
Yeah, so it was really, really lovely. I thought that was a good way to do it.
And thank you very much for sharing your love expertise with us. Can I have a heart back, please?
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, as you can see, we're spreading the love on Expresso. It's time to cross over to Kia with the flights and traffic, because love is in the air. Yes, it's in the air.